All right, let's see. Let's try that. Comics, all that stuff. We're going to talk about The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 14, 15, really all things for it. The last half hour, we'll cover the spoilers, so you should be able to hear me. Let me know in the chat now if you can hear it okay. I had an update on my computer last night that took forever to download, so that's what I think happened. The software didn't update, so I had to make sure the mic was. So I think it should be good. That we all right? Can you guys hear me okay? I know that was a thing, so sorry about that. But man, starting the day off in a weird way. But sorry for the, I guess, darkness. It's kind of a little dark because we're getting some bad weather here around Tampa Bay. So thank you guys for being a part of this live stream this Sunday, every Sunday. It's one thing that you choose to be here, and I truly appreciate it being part of the Walking Dead family. And we have a lot of things, and I know I'll talk about a lot of stuff, but I'm definitely going to highlight Season 10, Episode 15, the last half hour, and then I'll talk about the finale, the latest information that we share it with you. It's kind of crazy on there too. So, it's kind of crazy that, people are getting mad about the Season 10 finale because I don't know what the deal is with, them finishing it, because they're going to finish it at some point, but we're just going to have to wait and wait and wait, So we'll have to see what happens with it. But Season 10 overall, I'm loving it. I think it's a great season. Season 10, Episode 15 is definitely a setup episode. Season 10, Episode 14, there's still some things that make you go, scratch your head. You're like, how does Beta get all those walkers? How did he get the whispers? He only got a couple whispers. How many whispers were left after Alpha was taken out? It's just one of those things that you're like, okay, the Walking Dead universe is fiction, so they're going to do a bunch of things too. And just like, how can you put a dead person's face on your head, basically a whisper skin mask, basically that's what it is, and put that on there, and the walkers don't bother you? It's literally jokingly called an invisibility cloak. They're like, boop, they don't see me. I just walk around and they don't know I'm there. You put it on, you take it off. It's their little camouflage for the way it is. I like the idea of it. I personally would do something differently how to do it. And, probably in the book series, I'll cover something about, zombies and how it's done there. But ultimately, Season 10, Episode 14, last week's episode, was interesting with Beta and Alpha's head and Negan and Carol and everything too. Like, is everybody okay with Carol now? Do people like Carol? People who love Carol are going to love her regardless, just like Daryl and Negan are on there too. And, are people liking Negan more? Are they back on the Carol bandwagon? What do you think of Daryl and Negan and Daryl and Carol and everything? And, it's interesting because the show is all over the place with comics and stuff and how it connects and how it doesn't. But ultimately, that's a good thing for the show, is that you don't know what to expect. And I'm sure the writers want to hit big moments from the comics on the show. And because I think the comic readers, does anybody read the comics here? Because if you read the comics, you know what to expect with Princess, Commonwealth, Whispers, Alpha, Beta, Negan. Daryl's probably taken over the Rick role. Rick's not there anymore. Andrea's not there. Michonne's not there. It's like so many people have changed the show dynamic, some good, some bad. But ultimately, I think the people that are good for the show, that are just on the show, like Jerry and Daryl and, Judith, Judith's there, but, different character. Carol's a different character. It's just interesting to me what people like the show or don't. Haters are going to hate it. Trolls are going to troll it. No matter what they do, it's kind of hilarious. But, But overall, guys, hopefully you guys are doing okay with the stay-at-home stuff. And, people are still getting sick out there. The numbers are rising so much in the United States and the world still. So I don't know when they're going to be back to be able to finish Season 10, Episode 16. I don't know when they're going to be able to start filming, if it's going to be still in May, if it's going to be June. If it's a month later, I would assume that the release will be a month later. So if it's an October release, typically it's going to be probably November. And I'm okay with that. If we get it, November, December, or, we'll have to see how it all works out. I know a lot of people are worried about how stuff's going to impact The Walking Dead down the road. And I'm one of those people too. I'm one of those people that would be like, okay, what's going to happen with The Walking Dead season 10 finale, then the season 11 filming, The Walking Dead World Beyond, and also Fear the Walking Dead filming. This was supposed to be so many weeks of The Walking Dead. We're supposed to get 8 and 8 of Walking Dead, 16 of Fear the Walking Dead, and 10 of that. So we're supposed to get 42 weeks of The Walking Dead. And we're still on track with The Walking Dead as of today. But next week, we're not getting The Walking Dead. Probably the week after. Probably we're not going to get it till earliest, maybe May or June if we're lucky. So we'll see what happens down the road. But overall, season 10 is good. I watched the episode yesterday and I really liked it. I enjoyed it. Sometime when you read the spoilers, if you guys read the spoilers, it's one of those things where it paints the picture. But a lot of the Q&A and stuff has been like, what? It didn't do the show justice or the episode justice, or it didn't really answer a lot of things or put that much out there too. Before, back in the day, you used to get information, spoilers, potential spoilers, stuff, and you'd be like, whoa, it would give out like so much stuff of the episode. You'd be like, oh, okay, I know what to expect. Here, it's like, wow, it's cool. But yeah, you can definitely check out the Walking Dead comics online. You don't have to go buy them. Sometimes it'll be probably tough to buy them. Or you can buy the compendiums if you want a paper form of it. I have the Compendium 3. They have 4 compendiums, and that's all the comics all together right there. And it's pretty cool to have them all necessary. You get 4 big books instead of 193 issues. And you're like, what if you buy an issue and you're like, where's my issue 162? Or where's my issue 175? Or whatever, like in the compendium, it's all there too. So it's pretty great for it. I like reading the comics because it's pretty cool. The story is pretty good. Overall, the writing is what it is. It's a comic book coming to a show, and overall, I think they do a great job with it. So I'm really excited to see where the future of the show goes. Can they really exist beyond, the comic material? They say they can. They always say they can. Just like Samantha Morton's like, you never know. You never know what they're going to do on the show. And they basically did the same exact thing with Negan and Alpha, basically in the comics. Now, it's pretty nice. It's pretty cool when you see a character who got killed off, like when Laura got killed off on the show, Lindsley Register. She got killed off the week before by Beta, and then she was in the Michonne episode, which is kind of cool to see. And Alpha got killed off a couple weeks before, 2 weeks before, and then she's back in kind of a hallucination type role. So it's kind of interesting to see the people come back around. And I always think, I don't know, does anybody else do this when they're like, okay, Samantha Morton, she got killed off in season 10, episode 12. And then she was back in season 10, episode 14. I was like, oh, she got another paycheck. She got another episode in. Anybody else do that? I mean, I'm always like, oh, it's pretty cool to see them in an episode, because once the shows are done, it's kind of like, what are they going to do? And a lot of these actors are great, and a lot of these actors have done a lot of stuff, but, I'm not sure what's going to be happening with the rest of the cast coming on after. If you get killed off on the show, a lot of the people from The Walking Dead do go do other things too. So Jeannie Schmidt, those Q&A were planned to avoid telling us anything. So I don't think so. I mean, the Q&A is the Q&As aren't like, oh, we're going to trick you. The Q&As from the Spoiling Dead fans, that I give a shout out to them, to do a great job, but they're not the only spoiler source in town. And definitely not for me. But ultimately, the Q&As from them, they do a great job. It's a Q&A format that says they answer a question. Like, somebody probably gets a screener of it or gets the episode, they watch it, and they figure out what type of questions they want to ask by doing the answers of it too. Now, they're not there to tell us everything anymore, and they're also not there to trick us. Not like, oh, well, they give them the wrong information. No, the episodes come out for reviews probably like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. People get them. And then places do Q&As or do reviews or do whatever they do with them, so they see the episodes, and that's how they do it, right? It's just kind of crazy. But again, The Walking Dead is the biggest series I've ever seen with speculation of things. They talk about what's going to happen, and probably already started for episode 16, right? They're like, they didn't finish shooting it yet. They probably want to go back in and reshoot things and put this in there and do this. No, that's been filmed since November before Thanksgiving. Post-production is different than filming and pre-production. Post-production is adding visual effects, cleaning up what they need to do, editing things, putting stuff in, adding it later, touching things up, do what you have to do there, adding, the music and the VFX and the digital stuff and the sound effects. Because when they film The Walking Dead, there's not some guy going, going to grab them. They just go to reach for them. They add the zombie noises later. So it's different when you actually film than actually what we see. Just like anything. Just like the city that's behind people when they're going into the city, when Yumiko, Ezekiel, that's a different city in the background. That's not actually Atlanta. That's probably just an open highway that they add digitally later on. They do it a bunch of times. They do it pretty much in all the episodes that they can. But you'll see there's going to be a lot of things like they probably wanted Rick to come back. And you'll see all these crazy things on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And it's just pretty hilarious what they do for it. So we'll see what people are going to say. And the longer that it takes, the longer crazier theories are going to come out for it for sure. So just be aware. And also, guys, like it was pretty hilarious. When you see stuff come out on April 1st, no matter what it is, except on my channel, I don't do April Fool's stuff, right? April Fool's is not for me. It's with people. It's just, to me, it's just dumb. It's just a dumb thing to do, especially when they post stuff on Facebook or Instagram and they're posting all these crazy things. And then people are sending it to me like, did you see this? Did you see that he finds Rick's watch? And you're like, no, it's April Fool's and people believe it. And then it's just crazy for it too. So, but I don't know. But we'll see what happens. The Tower is season 10, episode 15. And if you know the comics, there's only one tower in the comics, the Water Tower. And on the show, it's not the same thing at all. Which to me it's misleading. It's kind of, people love to call stuff on YouTube clickbait, trickbait. They love to say that all the time. But it didn't need to be named that. I don't know why they decide to do that, but I'll talk about that, in a couple of minutes, probably about 10 minutes or so. I'll talk about, about half hour. Last half hour, I'll talk about the episode. But season 10, episodes 1 through 14 have been really good, if not great. And I was excited to have, where they were going to go with the Whisper of War. And I remember all these people were saying, they're going to skip the Whispers and go right to the Commonwealth. They're going to have the Whispers are only going to be in the second half of it. They're going to stretch it out into season 11. They're not going to have it. Season 10, episode 16 is the final battle of the Whisperer War. That doesn't mean that the Whispers are going to be gone. That means that it's going to be the Whisperer War story arc is going to be done. Then they're going to move on with the Commonwealth. They're going to rebuild, Hilltop. They're going to rebuild all the communities. They're going to do all the things that they need to do to set up season 11 and beyond for it. So I'll talk about my theories, what makes sense for the season 10 finale for sure. But overall, I'm loving season 10. How about you guys? I love the people that come on the Walking Dead channels. And they're like, that show's still on? I can't believe that show is still on. Why are they still doing that? Like, what? What's going on with it? It's crazy. But, season 7, season 8, probably the worst seasons of The Walking Dead, in my opinion. But 1 through 6 were great. Season 9, season 10, we're back on track. And we'll see what happens with it. I bring it up every live stream. I'm going to watch The Walking Dead to the very end. It's one of those things that make me, it's enjoyable. It's an escape. You definitely watch it. Like, there's shows that I watch all the time. Anybody watch Little People Big World? That's on TLC. I've been watching that show since this is the 20th season of that show. It was crazy to see where they've come, where they've gone, the farm, all that stuff. I actually have been to Roll-Off Farms last year. I went there. I have videos that I have to upload and put all that stuff maybe over the break or between the breaks of The Walking Dead stuff. But I was really excited for The Walking Dead to be 8 weeks and then roll right into World Beyond. And I still am excited for The Walking Dead World Beyond. And I'm not one of those people that believe like The Walking Dead knows what they're doing. They're messing with us. They can't do this. I'm pissed off at the AMC and Gimple's doing that and doing that. Well, it's Angela Kang, Gimple, the executive producers and post-production that have their hands tied. The world is in a crazy place of where it's at where people can't leave their homes, or they're not supposed to leave their homes to go to work, to do this, and they can't go to the lots. They can't go to Warner Brothers to finish things. They can't go finish all these things. And if they can't finish it, they can't put it out. So if they can't put it out, then we have to wait. The good news is we get one more episode of The Walking Dead. And then we'll get World Beyond, and then we'll get Fear of the Walking Dead, and then we'll be back. The biggest thing is how it's going to be impacted later on this year. I know movie premieres are later this year. I know Black Widow was supposed to come out this summer. It's a September release, I believe, and we'll have to see. I think A Quiet Place 2 is that a September, October release? I'm not sure, but we got to make the best of it. Hopefully you guys are watching stuff on Netflix and YouTube and Instagram and all this stuff as well. Hopefully you saw the latest with Jerry. Smug Orange, at Smug Orange on Instagram is Jerry Cooper Andrews, his Instagram. So hopefully you give him a follow. You'll see some of the things. It's pretty interesting. I'll talk about that in the video coming up. And so I got some video ideas coming up down the road, but hopefully you guys will definitely check out the channel, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want me to talk about something in the upcoming weeks, I think it'd be great to have, I'm still going to try to have videos every day. The Walking Dead is tough to have stuff every day when there is no episodes. But when we get more information, when we talk about that, we'll talk about the theories. We'll talk about season 11, Princess, Commonwealth, where it could go, where it could be down the road, what may happen in the season 10 finale, because a lot of people want to know what's going to happen down the road for sure. Eric Finnegan Q&A, will Beta play a benefit concert at Alpha Service? Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to get the band back together. And that could be his face reveal where he takes his mask off and plays. No, I'm just kidding. But ultimately, Half Moon, Beta being a singer was Ryan Hurst's idea. He came up with the idea that he should be a famous singer before the zombie apocalypse started. And I wonder if we're going to get a face reveal in season 10 or season 11. I don't really care because we know what Beta looks like. We know Ryan Hurst's face. So we saw a face reveal on the cover of the album. So we kind of got a face reveal. Hopefully you guys checked out my foreshadowing theory. I do believe that Beta will survive season 10, make it to season 11, and die by the hands of two people, maybe Alden and Aaron, maybe Negan and Daryl, maybe a little combo of all four of those people. I don't know if it's going to be something, but ultimately I think it's funny that Beta is going to probably survive because it's kind of like the governor idea in season 3 into season 4, that the governor got away, right? The threat of the governor was still there. He came back and caused a problem. And I think that's got to be into season 11 with Beta. I think they'll have a similar aspect for it. But if you know that his name is Half Moon, well, it's kind of crazy on there too. Thanks, Big Sexy. What show is still on? I don't know. But, hopefully you guys are going to be okay with the break. I don't know how long the break is going to be, but my wife and I, we were watching different things on Netflix. We're finishing up on HBO, His Dark Materials. There's 8 episodes. We're on episode 7 coming up too. Also, if you have access, a Fire Stick or something, just download the HBO Go app. You can get free HBO. I don't know how long it is, but there's no login. There's free HBO probably all of April, or at least a couple weeks of it. Definitely check it out. You can watch Sopranos, all their stuff, everything on there, Game of Thrones, whatever on there as well. Definitely check it out. Free HBO is good. Free anything is good, especially when it comes to entertainment. I think it'd be pretty cool for you guys to check out that. I recommend The Sopranos. Game of Thrones is a great series, even though the last season is not the best in my opinion. But there's ultimately a lot of good things on there to keep you interested, to keep you, in. I know being inside the house a lot can drive you stir crazy, but if you can get lost in a series, a book series, a TV show, cut down to watching the news because it's all gloom and doom. Check it out a little bit, see what's going on, but don't watch it all the time. I don't recommend, because they're going to act as like it's the world is ending in the craziest way of it. Now, this is bad. We have to stay indoors, and you got to worry about the health of the elderly and the young people that going out partying, not being 6 feet away or less. Groups of 10 people or more is not a good thing, but I'm not sure when it's going to be lifted, but I do have a feel of like when I go on a supply run to Publix, the supermarket, it's like, okay, you're watching a little bit more. It does feel like a Walking Dead kind of vibe, like get the gear, get your people, get in the car, go to the store, watch around, get what you got to get, and get out, right? But it's not like a life or death situation, but it kind of is, because if people are coughing, if people are sneezing, if people aren't, staying 6 feet away, it's just crazy. But if you think about it, there's supposed to be 10 people or less in a gathering. You go to supermarkets, in Walmart and Sam's Club, there's way more than 10 people all around the store, all over the place. And yes, it's a bigger store and a warehouse, but that's not, happening there. So we'll have to see what happens, but I just hope you're safe and secure. You're watching The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead, if you're catching up on things, however you're going to watch it. But The World Beyond, I would assume, will be the same day of The Walking Dead season 10 finale. So we don't know. I hope that it's going to be like early May. If we can just make it through April, hopefully we'll be okay. There's supposed to be the peak in the curve, and there's going to be this and all that stuff. So we'll have to see what actually happens. Now, they don't really know, and that's kind of the scary part, is we don't know when this is going to pass, when it's going to get back to normal, what's going to happen back to, people with unemployment, job stuff on there, because I'm definitely impacted for that, sure. But for two, because my clinic is slow. My clinic is not, it's still open, but we had too much staff for it. So, my hours got drastically cut, basically down to 0. So my life is being at home, making YouTube videos, writing my book series. And, for those who read my book series, hopefully you guys do. I truly appreciate the support for it. I started and finished my rough copy of book 12 of Fight For Us. It's titled Power. If you're a Patreon member or on our Fight For Us Facebook page, I have the picture of the cover of Power, and I'm excited to share that with you. Hopefully in a month or two. I'm not going to rush it by any means, because I'm ahead of the game with it, because ultimately Fight For Us is a big thing that I want to make sure it's done right. And I've learned the hard way that once it's out, there's no going back. Once you release it and you put it online, you can't take it back, because people buy it. There's people that love reading it on there too. And I just want to make sure it's the right product, the right way of doing things on there too. And, I've learned a lot from it. So I've learned, sometimes the hard way, and that's okay too. So, but hopefully you guys will check out the book series. It helps out the channel with, the book series. The money comes back to the book series as well as the PT channel, so it helps support it. And people can donate. You can do super chats. You can do Patreon. You can just buy a book and it comes back out. There's multiple ways to it. And I like people to donate if you can, and I'm not forcing anybody to. I truly appreciate it. But ultimately, the donations are also great when people get stuff. When you get stuff from Amazon and you get stuff from Amazon gift cards, or a book that you can be a part of it too, it's pretty cool too. So Jackie, and second Q&A, do you think Rick's movies will start with him being a bad guy, like you either die a hero or live long enough to become one, but Michonne will help him become good again? I don't know. I mean, I personally think the episode or the movie, the Rick movie, is going to be him in a hospital bed, waking up wounded, very similar to the pilot. I don't know if they want to make Rick the villain type of thing, where he's got to be that type of bad guy thing. I don't know if they would want to do that with it. And I don't see Rick being the bad guy for it. I think that he's going to be forced to do stuff. He's going to be forced to work for CRM, or, find out he has skills and he's going to be able to be part of things, and he has to work his way up, because hopefully he wants to get out of CRM, but hopefully he doesn't want to do anything. It's still the Rick Grimes that we know and love, and being a villain, I don't think we'd want to see that too. Jackie also writes, do you think Maggie will have any insight into Rick's group? That would be awesome, and I really hope it's really answered where Maggie's been. What does she know? What doesn't she know? Where has it been all these different times? Where has she been over the years that she's been gone? Correspondence, no correspondence. What does she know? What doesn't she know? Are people going to be pissed at her? I hope a couple people are mad at her too, especially people from Hilltop, but I don't know. I think Maggie could have a connection with it, but I personally think she won't. Rico Q&A, why did Judith didn't tell Daryl that Rick, last half hour, man, last half hour asked those type of questions for the episode. We'll talk about that later on, but because they want to stretch it out, because they want to have the big review of that in the finale. We'll talk about that then. That's why, but Jennifer, hey, Brian, Q&A. When do you think Judith will tell Daryl? I think season 10, episode 16. I think next episode that she'll tell Daryl about it too. So, but I don't think that the biggest thing is Judith telling Daryl. I think the bigger thing is, who's going to survive. We'll talk about it, like I said, in the last half hour, because I don't want to give anything away. But I know that the biggest thing is who's going to survive into season 11? What's going to be set up for season 11? Where is the story going? Because we lost some people this season, but we really haven't. I mean, if you think about Magna's group, they're all there basically. We haven't lost Daryl, Carol. We're not going to lose them. We didn't lose Negan. We didn't lose Judith. We didn't lose RJ. We didn't lose Jerry. We didn't lose Ezekiel, Rosita. We lost Sadiq, Dante, who was a new character, Dante. We lost Laura, who was kind of becoming a character that you kind of liked. We lost Margot, who cares? There really wasn't that big, impactful death besides Alpha. But Alpha's a villain, so it's okay. People are like, oh, I miss Alpha. I think Samantha Morton did a great job. And she did. But it's not like losing Carl or Rick went away. I mean, I guess you could say we lost Michonne. Michonne was the biggest loss, but she's still alive, right? Too. So, Rob K. Wait, how do I get free HBO again? I have an Amazon Fire Stick and I have the HBO Go app. And if you do that, you install it, you fire it up, and you have access to all the HBO Go stuff. So if you just download HBO Go or possibly HBO Now, don't hold me to that, but I know that it says no login required and HBO is free. You can look it up for so often, but definitely check it out. HBO is definitely on is free, and it's been free for a couple of days now. At least yesterday, I know it said that on the app because we were trying to look for something and we're watching a couple different things on there to pass the time for sure. We got the home workouts in the gym. My wife is working out right now, and I worked out earlier this morning, and I worked out yesterday in there too. So trying to get back at it, trying to stay in it too. And I wonder if people in, the quarantine, self-isolation, staying home thing are like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm going to stay home, watch Netflix, play video games, not going to do nothing. Other people are like, I'm going to do push-ups and sit-ups and crunches and abs and this and do all this body weight stuff, and I'm going to eat good. I'm going to have this good stuff. And then there's probably people in between. They're like, I'm not going to do much. I got to get going a little bit here too. But if you don't have stuff, you can do, crunches, sit-ups, push-ups, planks, squats, any body weight stuff you can do gets you moving a little bit too. Mountain climbers, pikes, you can do, burpees, bridges, there's a lot of stuff. Leg kicks, leg raises, side leg raises, calf raises. You can do a lot of stuff without having machines and weights to do it. So hopefully you're not going stir crazy. I've been doing work outside and working around the yard and, staying away from people, but trying to stay busy too. So what you got to do. And imagine if you were in a zombie apocalypse, right? Well, I live in Florida, and imagine not having power for 3, 4, 5 days, a week, 7 days, not having electricity. So there's no YouTube, there's no Netflix, there's no television. You can make calls, but texting, I guess, you got to be careful with not wearing your battery down. You got to be careful with, just draining all your batteries and stuff you could use. But that's worse than, being home for a month or whatever it is with power, electricity, food, water, clean water, clean power to do YouTube and Netflix, electricity to have, a hot shower, all that stuff. It's drastically different on there too. And I'm not saying which is better, which is worse, but ultimately it's tough. And, it could be a far worse situation out there too. But I would assume in a zombie apocalypse, it would be pretty boring, especially if you lost power. And you didn't have Netflix, and you couldn't watch movies, and you couldn't do all the things that we do now. The zombie apocalypse would be pretty boring. I guess we would actually have to talk to people, talk to each other, read books, play board games, whatever, however they want to do it, right? My wife, I was joking, I was in the closet, getting the vacuum out and doing whatever, and I see 2 board games that I haven't played in forever. One, it's like my old Connect 4, and the other one is Monopoly. I'm like, oh man, pretty soon we might have to bust out Monopoly and play too. So it's good. It's pretty funny. But ultimately, guys, okay, I want to do spoiler warning because I want to talk about season 10, episode 15 for the last half hour of it. So spoiler warning for season 10, episode 15. We'll talk about that show, comics, and as well as season 10, episode 15 or 16 as well too. So, so season 10, episode 15 to me, it's a good episode. Now, that being said, it's a setup episode. It's not the finale. It's not the season 10 finale. Because if it was, it would be like, man, that kind of sucked. But that being said, we have to wait for the season 10 finale. And I think they're saving a lot of good, juicy, big stuff for the finale, right? So season 10, episode 15, it's basically broken up into Princess, Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Eugene, that group. Then you see Daryl and Judith, that group. Negan and Lydia there, and then Beta, and then Aaron and Alden a little bit too. So it's kind of divided up in the groups. But you see Alexandria, you see a hospital that for some reason that season 10, episode 15 is a great setup for episode 16, but for some reason they went to a hospital. They left Alexandria, the Hilltop's gone. They were supposed to go to Oceanside, but they didn't go to Oceanside. They went to this hospital. That being said, it's the same filming location. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure it is after looking at it. It's the same hospital that Grady Memorial was portrayed in the show. It's the hospital Beth died in. The front is pretty much the same. They mixed it up a little bit on there as well too. So yeah, Jennifer, I read the same article. I have a whole video on it where it's talking about how close they are to being done, but they can't finish it until they can go to the studio and finish it in California. So whenever that gets lifted where people can go back to work, they can't do that. So it's a week or 2 or 3 away, which is probably like a month. So it might be early May. The best case scenario would probably be early May for sure. But I think that, so Chopper 31, unfortunately, I think May is way too optimistic, especially if the PP work takes 2 weeks. Well, exactly. So I'm saying best case scenario is that it's May. And this is the PT channel, so the positive thinking channel, which is optimism, brothers. So that's what you got. I hope it's May. People are saying June, July, August. That's terrible. If it is, that maybe it is. But ultimately, I'm just hoping for that as well. So you see Princess, you find out that she calls herself Princess. She's Juanita Sanchez. Her and Yumiko don't get along. They don't get along really the entire time to the very end of the episode. But the funny thing is that Princess calls the walkers rotters. People from Grady Memorial called the walkers rotters. They film in the same location as Grady Memorial. It's not the same hospital because that's in Georgia and this is in Virginia, so it's not the same spot on the show, but the filming location is filmed in Georgia, so people are going to be like, is that the same hospital? Is Grady Memorial there? Are the cops there? No, it's nothing to do with that. I'm sure those people, when you see other channels, I guarantee people are asking that question already. But Princess takes her, light machine gun is what people are calling it, and it's pretty cool, right? And it's like, she's like, I'm awesome, you'll see. And she puts her goggles down and she's like, boom, boom, boom. She fires a bunch of shots and rips apart 4 walkers. But before that, she calls them rotters. She's like, there's not a lot of rotters left in the city. 8 seconds, 10 seconds later, these rotters, walkers come, there's 4 of them. You're like, so is there a lot or not? But it's what The Walking Dead's doing lately. But either way, we have that going on. And then the horses run away scared because of the machine gun fire. They go and they don't come back. One of the horse heads is kind of blown up there as well. But, it's kind of crazy because they go to a minefield. So Princess is going to take Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Eugene around the city to go find some wheels. So you think it's a car. Nope, it's bikes. But bikes are better than walking, and at the end you find that. But that's the whole build-up for the whole episode. They go through this. They go to a minefield, a small minefield. If you know Fear the Walking Dead, you know that it's kind of a callback to that and stuff on there too. So pretty cool stuff too. But Frico Rico, yeah, Brian, when is the TV show from your book series coming out? Hopefully, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but not anytime soon. That's for sure. Oh man, sorry, I'm seeing all these super chats on here. William Brown, hey Brian, any comic events you'd rather see on the show than the show wrote? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, the comic stuff, the Whisperer War had some big things in the comics for it. These are great questions. Sorry, I just saw them. But I'm not sure if the comic, I'm not sure anything is really left out too much. I mean, they did little remixes and twists. That's a great question. I might have to get back to you on there, William. Khaleesi, one of the lucky who can work from home during this time. Want to help wherever I can. Your vids are keeping so many people entertained during this time. Happy to support the PT channel. Thank you, Khaleesi Stark. Chopper31, just wanted to say thank you. Thanks for everything you do and every day. Thank you. I appreciate it. Khaleesi Stark, are you the one that was from New Jersey? I think you wrote on there you were from there or you were there. I used to live in New Jersey too. I was born and raised there, South Jersey myself. So I think you said that before. I'm not sure. But thank you guys for the super chats. I appreciate it. Sorry I jumped off topic, but I got to give a shout out and recognition for that. I truly appreciate that too. So. So thank you guys for joining me today as always. Appreciate it. But okay, so we got Princess joins our group around the city. She takes them around the long way because she enjoys being there. The opening minutes are kind of entertaining because she doesn't know if they're real or not. And Yumiko is not really feeling Princess, but I liked Princess. I thought Princess was great. I thought Princess was a fun thing for the show. She didn't annoy me. I didn't think she was too over the top because she's supposed to be crazy and kooky, but she's a good person and she's not like, I don't think she's going to do anything crazy where you're like, wow, that was pretty dumb, but she's trying to make up for it, and they really do a good job explaining that in the episode, and she was one of my favorite parts for sure. Then we see Beta just walking right into Alexandria. The gates are wide open. Did they just leave it for him? I don't know, but maybe they got in and opened it. But either way, they walk right in, and then we see Alden and Aaron inside the windmill. And it's pretty poor of Beta and the other Whisperers to not check inside the windmill. Like, all you had to do was open the door, walk up a little bit, and see, oh, there's two here, and they kill them and whatever. But either way, Alden and Aaron, they know that they're there. They find out that, because Beta starts hearing voices, right? They're in his head. And it's one of those things where he's hearing voices. You don't know if they're around him or not, but they're clearly inside his head. And he says, when they go into there, they say, "Where are they?" And that's a nice callback to season 9 with the introduction of the Whisperers with Rosita and Eugene in the when they went to the ditch. And so either way, Beta comes up with the idea that they're all gone. And they're going to Oceanside. And they go, Oceanside is, not where they actually go. The plan is for Beta and the Whispers and the Walkers to go to Oceanside. And that's kind of what they have for it. But I'm sorry, the super chats are coming up now. And there's definitely a lag on there. I'm sorry about that. I don't know if it's YouTube or the internet or what it is. But I apologize for that if it's from my end or not. But thank you, William Brand, Khaleesi Stark, and Chopper31. I thank you for the super chats on there. They're coming up now. I don't know where it is too. But so the plan is they go to Alexandria. Beta is leading the Whispers. He has two Whispers and a bunch of Walkers. And it's a lot of Walkers. I mean, we're talking about close to, I don't know if it's 1,000 Walkers or whatever, but it's a lot. And there's a Walker or Whisper that we haven't seen before. The two Whispers we haven't seen before. There's a guy Whisper and a girl Whisper. And the girl Whisper is walking next to Beta when they left Alexandria and they're going to Oceanside. And they're walking. And Beta's still like hearing voices and what to do and tell him where to go and everything. And turns out the voices are telling him where to go, and it's kind of really helping him. It's kind of really good for him. I don't know. It's a little far-fetched, but ultimately Beta hears voices. The little small Whisper says, use your wisdom and you're being a good alpha. And you know how Beta hates being called alpha. He's going to take out his knife and kill her. But then the voice in his head's like, calm it down. Like, we need her. Don't kill her. So she's spared. They keep walking. That Whisper takes 3 or 4 Walkers and walks into the woods and leaves Beta because Beta's nuts. Beta is definitely a thing on there. That's crazy. But let me answer these questions first. But Janet, Brian, do you think it's possible that Carol will sacrifice herself to save the group from the Horde? I know we don't want that to happen, but I think it's definitely a possibility. I would if Carol did not sign a 3-year deal. This is one of the 3 years, so to me, she has two more years left on her contract. I don't see that happening, but it is interesting that Carol is not inside the hospital towards the end of the episode where the Walker Horde goes to. So, Call of Dumb Q&A. So I posted a theory on how potentially the Rick Grimes trilogy would play out and end in Facebook group on March 26th. Did you have any thoughts on the matter? Posted a theory on how potentially Rick Grimes trilogy would play out. I don't know, because there's a lot of, I didn't read your theory. I don't know what your theory is. But ultimately, the theories are going to go around. We don't know which direction they want to go, how they're going to do it, what they're going to do. Is Michonne going to get a spinoff? Is Michonne going to get her own movie? What are they going to do with this? I'm not sure, right? Yenzi Rosario, where do you think Whisperer battle is going to happen? I think the Whisperer battle is going to happen around the hospital, if not in, the hospital outside, because, I'll get to that in a second, but I'll get back to it. So, Alpha is gone. The face is on Beta's head. We saw that last episode, which is kind of cool, creepy, and the ear's still on there. It's crazy, right? So I think Beta is going crazy. That's a great question, Osvaldo Rivera. Is Beta going crazy? For sure. He's hearing voices. That's not normal. So they're going to Oceanside. Aaron and Alden follow them the entire time. They're going, and Aaron and Alden end up getting captured by Whisperers. Now, we don't know who these Whisperers are. My potential theory is that if Connie is still alive and she kind of had a Whisper thing on her, she could be one of those people. But we'll talk about that in another video, that's for sure. So we find out that our group left Alexandria except for Aaron and Alden, who get captured at the end of the episode by the Whisperers. They're following them. And they're trying to read, he's trying to get back to him on the radio, but he can't get a hold of anybody on the radio. And everybody goes to the tower, which is a tower in the hospital, right? The tower is is some part of the hospital that they are. Again, it's the same hospital that they used for Grady Memorial on the show. It's not the same hospital in that universe. So you'll see it when you see it. You're like, that's the same hospital. It definitely looks the same way. But we see, because it goes in, you see the front of the hospital, excuse me, and then you see it goes inside, and I think you see Birdie, Rachel, Judith, Carol, Dog, Magna, Jerry, Jules, Luke, Father Gabriel, Kelly, Diane, Lydia, Negan. Who else? And I think that's pretty the main characters that we see inside the hospital. You don't see Rosita, you don't see RJ. We don't see Alex, or we don't see there. But outside the hospital, we see Marco and I believe Oscar. So we see a lot of people. Pretty cool stuff for it. William, I saw your super chat. Hopefully you saw my reply on it. But you had a great question. Any comic events you would rather seen on the show than the show wrote? I don't know. I think they've done a really good job with it overall. But, I'll be back to you on that, William. Thank you for the super chat. But back to season 10, episode 15. We got, where did I leave off? Inside the hospital. That Luke, I think, is trying to rebuild the radio, like the big radio that Eugene had. And he needs something from, a car. He needs wiring, I guess. And he says, is anybody available to help me? And Jules is right there next to him. So they're dating, they're together, they have some sort of connection, which is nice. And Carol stands up and she's like, I'll go with you. So Carol and Kelly leave the tower, leave the hospital, go to a car. They have a nice heartfelt moment where Carol says she feels bad and sorry for Connie. She apologizes. And Kelly, being a nice person, she says, don't do that. You did what you had to do. Maybe it's me thinking that my sister is alive. Connie's got to be alive, right? We didn't see her die. We saw Magna get out. So how did Connie not survive, right? So I think that Connie's still alive. And plus the fact that Kelly was really nice to Carol, it's definitely a thing where you're like, okay, But Connie told Kelly when she was losing her hearing, it's not a problem. It's not a deficit. It's your superpower. And Kelly does that thing where she, flexes and shows that it's basically a season 10, episode 1 callback Easter egg. They have a nice moment, and it's good. But you clearly see that Jules is there for Luke, and, they've been together a little bit, so we'll see what happens in the season 10 finale, if something happens with those two. And then Lydia and Negan have interactions inside the hospital. But before that, Lydia is petting a cat. And Judith comes over to Lydia and says, I thought all the cats left, because I guess they were there for some time. And Lydia says, not this one. And she's petting a nice cat, and it's cute. It's nice, right? And they talk, and it's a nice moment. And, Judith says, I'm sorry about your mom. And Lydia's like, well, we all didn't have a good mom like you did, meaning Michonne. So that makes Judith upset. But the cat is pretty important because we see a cat in the woods walking in front of the path of Beta and the Walkers and the Whisperers while they're going to Oceanside. And Beta's like, they're too smart for this. They won't go to Oceanside. Where are they going to go? And they see the cat walk in the path. So the only way that Beta knew to go to the hospital was that the cat crossed their path. They follow the cat to the hospital, and that's where they go. It's super far-fetched, one, that the cat just goes right back to the hospital. Why wouldn't it go to a supermarket or a house or a stadium or something else? It just goes right back to the hospital, and that's how they know. But that's what The Walking Dead does. Either way, that's how Beta knows and goes to the hospital at the end of the episode, takes his Walker horde, and Father Gabriel is on the radio, and the radio is Daryl, and says, we're surrounded, Walkers, whatever. And it's like kind of, muffled and broken up, but Beta takes the Walker horde to the hospital, they surround them, and that's where it ends. But before that, Daryl has a nice moment with Judith. Judith left the hospital, left a note for Father Gabriel that she went out on her own, kills a Walker, and it's definitely something that is kind of, Judith, you should not be out there by yourself, right? What are you doing, Judith? But I know that Judith talks with Daryl. It's a nice moment. She wants to learn what Daryl does, and that's track, that's take care of, be the Daryl. So Judith has Michonne skills. She's a Grimes. She was raised by Rick and Michonne. She's going to learn from Daryl. She's going to be like the ultimate badass person that's learned skills from everybody. And Daryl even makes a point to say to Judith, people are going to count on you. They're going to rely on you. Basically meaning that Judith is going to be the future of the show and the franchise. That's for sure, and I truly believe that. But before that, Daryl's out on his own. Daryl's outside the entire episode. He has his microphone. He has his radio, and he's just talking to Michonne. Michonne's not replying, but he's like, yeah, we have a plan. Don't come back here. If you're going to come back, don't do that. Don't come back home. We have a plan. We were going to take him out or whatever. And he's basically talking to Michonne, but Michonne doesn't reply, so I don't know if she heard it or not. But Daryl tried to reach Michonne. When Judith is out there on her own, Daryl goes to talk with them. Judith says, that she wants to learn everything. Teaches. Daryl teaches Judith some things. There's like a scraping on a tree of a piece of cloth, of probably a shirt or something, and there's Walker blood on it. Judith knows that it's a Walker, and they learn a little bit. They come across the Whisper, the little girl, not little girl, like the lady Whisper, the short one, that was with Beta. And Daryl shoots the Whisper in the shoulder with a bolt. They kill the Walkers. They find the Whisper in the ditch with the Whisper skin mask next to him, and she's like dying from the bolt stuck in her right chest, right above her, right on her clavicle. And she's like, don't kill me, I want to walk. So she wants to become a Walker. And Daryl gets information from her, finds out that Beta, is still running things, and Beta is on their way, is supposed to be going to Oceanside and supposed to be going where they're supposed to go. And, she doesn't really say much, and Daryl is worried that Beta knows where to go, or that Beta knows where they are, and they don't. And it's, Beta is on his own because that Whisperer left. And then Daryl shoots her in the head with a bolt and takes him out. So Daryl takes his bolts out, grabs the Whisperer mask, which is important probably for the season 10 finale, and Judith gets upset about it. She's like, what if she had a family? You're just going to leave her out there? And Daryl's like, where's this coming from? And the whole thing comes out about Michonne, that she's worried about Michonne and that she talked to Michonne after the fire and that she was on the radio. And Daryl's like, what'd she say? Is she coming back home? And all Judith says is that she found people and she went to go help them. She didn't say anything about Rick. She didn't say anything about anything. But I would assume in the season 10 finale, Judith will tell Daryl about Michonne going to find Rick. It's probably a big setup for the season 10 finale. The conversation with Judith and Daryl, it's touching because she cries. It's very upset. She's upset. It's a sad thing, but it's a nice moving moment. What kind of got me was Judith and Daryl's conversation. Princess telling Eugene that she's always felt like an outsider. Someone told her that she's tough to love. She's made bad mistakes and she was worried about doing things like that. And Eugene bonds with her and said, look, I totally know it's how you feel. He's made bad decisions too. And it's a nice bonding moment. The other thing that kind of moved me was Negan and Lydia. Negan is there for Lydia. Negan tells the Lydia, do you want something to eat? You haven't eaten all day. And he's going to feed her like possum, which is kind of like a big rat. They even say in there, it's pretty funny. He's like, I'm not going to eat rat. It's a big rat. And, you see it actually in there is that Negan actually brings the possum in, if you look at it briefly. But I'll talk about that and things you may have missed in another video coming up later this week. But Negan tells Lydia, tries to be there for him, be there for her. And it's a nice moment. And Lydia says, Negan says to her, if you have anything to say, just say it. I felt bad. I cared about your mom. I cared about this, cared about that. And Lydia's like, yeah, I have something to say that I wish a lot of people wish you died too. So I would assume that Lydia is one of those people that feels like Lydia knows that Alpha could have died and should have died, but they also feel that that Negan should have died as well. Negan's Mr. Chef all of a sudden. He's cooking stuff, I guess the possum that he killed. And Lydia comes in and says, you don't tell me what to do. And Negan's like, you're right. You're absolutely right. And Lydia's like, you liked her? You cared about her? What am I supposed to do with that? That, whatever. And then Negan goes, I think you should hit me. It'll make you feel better. And Lydia says a great line like, yeah, well, everything's about you. Even in that, it's for you. I should hit you. Like, it's for you. Everything you do is for you. And then Lydia breaks down. She starts smacking him and pushing him and doing all this. And then Negan hugs her. Lydia starts crying. Negan is there for her. He starts crying. It's just a nice, touching moment. It's sad. It's great acting. You buy into it. It's on those things too. So that's very touching, very moving. The episode is 42 minutes runtime. So it'll probably be a little over an hour on television. But it seems very fast. I wouldn't say it seems rushed like people are saying. It seems one of those things where it's super fast. Like Princess and their group happen. This is happening at Alexandria. Then they're going to here. Then they're going there. The stuff at the hospital. Bing, bada, boom. Princess again. They're talking. Nice moment here. Judith and Daryl. Okay, talking. Negan and Lydia. Okay, here, there. And then it's like, boom, it's over. It's just, I don't know. It's such a captivating episode. That was one of those things where I'm like, man, right? But it's a great setup episode. And I think a big showdown is going to happen in the hospital parking lot or around the hospital. But if you see the picture that I showed, I believe that Daryl, Negan, or somebody with the Whisperer skin mask, Lydia, and they're leaving the hospital. They walk through there. And if you want to know potential spoilers, you can check out the stuff that we talked about for season 10, episode 16. We have a couple of different videos on it. But it's definitely one of those things where I hope Maggie shows up. I hope Connie shows up. Maggie and Connie come save the day. I hope somebody saves Aaron and Alden, because they were surrounded by whispers. And one of them's got a AK-47 and they have knives and they're on this. But I don't think Beta's there because Beta's going towards the hospital. So I would love for Connie to be one of those whispers. That would be pretty awesome. But I don't know if Maggie's going to come save them or how they're going to get out of it, if they're going to survive. But there's no water tower death. Like everybody was hypothesizing and theorizing and thinking about it that we're going to have the water tower death. It's titled The Tower. It's called The Tower because they're in a hospital tower. A tower in a hospital, a wing of a hospital, an area of a hospital. Not sure why it's called The Tower. I would assume that's going to make a lot of people mad who's a comic reader. Because if you know the water tower death that's in the Whisperer War, you're thinking that the water tower death is going to be in the Whisperer War, and this is one of the last episodes for the Whisperer War. Now, it could happen in the season 10 finale. We still have one more episode, right? So it's definitely for sure that it could happen. But, yeah. And that's, people are talking about the bikes like Jane and Jeannie. But yeah, she talks about, I'll get you a new set of wheels, a lot of good options. And it's all bicycles. It's not a car. It's not anything. It's, but I would assume those tires got to be flat, right? Have those bikes been sitting there for 10, 12, 15 years? Who knows? You got a pump to pump those air bicycle tires up. But Eugene says, yeah, going 15 miles per hour is better than walking. You're really pedaling pretty fast if you're going 15 miles per hour, I would say, right? Is that normal, how fast you can go on a bike? I wouldn't think so, right? But Princess is funny. She's kind of crazy. She's kind of all over the place. But to me, she's like lovable crazy. She's one of those people that you're like, I kind of like her thing. I like the idea of her being alone. And she's this way because she's been alone for, over a year. And I get it. I understand it. I think it's kind of good. But she's one of those things where she's kind of all over the place. Like when Yumiko comes over to it and she goes, Yumiko says, I'm sorry of this. And Princess says, I'm not a bad person. And she says, I know, we got to work on that. We're going to work on that. And she's like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, I can join you? So basically, Princess is part of the group. She hugs Yumiko. And she's like, is there a map? Can I hold the map? Yeah. Can we go back to my place? Can I have this? I have a badass spear. I have this. I have candy. And then you see Eugene's face like, candy? Candy? It's just because he was talking about it earlier, right? So she's kind of like that lovable character, kind of like a Jerry kind of character, like lovable. He means well, he's just there too, even though Princess is kind of, she's kind of like hyperactive, but she's kind of a lovable hyperactive character. I just definitely see it too. So, James, I thank you for the super chat. I can't see what it is, but I'll wait for your super chat to pop up on here and do that. But I'll go for a couple more minutes. But overall, I enjoyed season 10, episode 15. Reading the spoilers, it sounded a little dull, a little this, a little that. And that's just, Q&A text on a screen that you're reading it. Watching people act it out and show it and portray it, that's probably, how it's done at a table read. How it's done where the stuff comes alive when Princess is on screen. And I think the actress does a great job. She's definitely an actress that I think, and every time they bring a character from